to go, man. We about to have a good episode now. What's going on, chat? Let's tap in real quick. There we go.
Are we good?
Yeah, we back in the game, man. They tried to stop us, but we back. Yeah. All right, we'll do it like this, just to make sure I can see the chat. All right, you can get started, Steve.
We live?
Yeah, we live.
All right. All right, peace, family. Welcome to another episode of the Man to Man podcast, where we talk as gods. I'm your host, Steve Jones. I'm here with my good brother, Mr. 19 Keith.
Yes, sir.
Peace to the God, man. How you feeling, man?
Man, I feel good now. We was able to get everything on track. We're about to have a really good episode. I don't know if I should be streaming this on Twitch, because Twitch, I know, don't usually talk about stuff like this. You feel me? But either way, Twitch about to get something new, because it's a lot that I want to talk about that's going on right now. It's a lot that's happening in America, the world, the culture, the politics, the spirituality, the life. Man, we're back in the dark ages. You know what I mean? And I don't think most people understand it whatsoever. And I wanted to make sure that there were some topics that I talk about that we can clip up later to share with the world, because I believe that if we don't talk about them now, man, it's like speak now to forever hold your peace.
So when you say we entering back in the dark era, well, not expound on that for me. The dark age.
Well, first of all, you got to understand, when we even reference the idea of dark ages, right? We really talking about Europeans being in the dark ages, right? Because even as Europeans were in the dark ages, more civilized ages was in the light ages, right? Meaning that there was a Moorish town called Cordoba, meaning the city of light. So they had light systems in their towns that was lit up, clean bathhouses 700 years before like Paris and France. So when you go to school, though, you taught about when white people first had like the Enlightenment age,
Right?
but like blacks and Africans, or Moors, if you will, already had went through it. You know what I mean? Now, the idea though of the Dark Age is more so a monarchy. You know what I mean? Where they get to absolutely rule and control, right? Because monarchies are based on hierarchy. When white people discovered black people in South Africa, you know what I mean, when they went over there, they was like, wait a minute, these people don't have a hierarchy, they have a egalitarian system, right? Meaning where they believe in a society that's more so about equality. So if America is going to a place where this is pushing diversity and equality and all things of that nature, their goal is to make that illegal. But the question becomes why? Right now, there's a scholar that most people never heard of. His name is Curtis Yarvin. Curtis Yarvin goes by a pseudonym of, like, what's it called? Mendius Bug or something like that. And he started writing about neocameralism. Neocameralism is this idea that America should be ran like a corporation. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not caring about the spirit of the people, just thinking about effectiveness when it comes to decision making. So he don't believe in democracy, he believes in monarchy, that it should just be elitists ruling the world and controlling it. And the people that cannot make it to the top, they deserve to be at the bottom. And they really should just be thrown into a virtual reality for the rest of their lives, right? While the rest of the world goes through automation and accelerationism, which is another idea that we should accelerate essentially the fall of the systems to replace them with automated systems. So the financial market and the political systems. And nobody's having a conversation upon this philosophical movement that's happening, but this is what's connected to Trump and the tariffs. Like, there was articles that was just written that these tariffs really comes from AI, right? The whole idea of it is forget code.
I seen that.
What about votes? I mean, forget votes. This gonna be ran by codes. You know what I mean? Like, so there's no longer gonna be governments, just algorithms. And your goal is going to be figuring out, you get to opt out based on which state you go to, which is why they started giving states these powers. So let's say you don't want to live in California if everything is overtaxed, right? And they got automated justice to where You know, they got robots on the street raiding your homes, and you're like, man, I don't like that. Well, their justification is you can opt out by going to a different state that don't have it. Now, if every state have it, there's no opting out.
Right.
You know what I mean? But they believe in this state-to-state control type of system.
All right, now let me stop you right there because I remember talking with Tech with the X, right? And she was basically just trying to tell the black community, like, we got to be aware of these new automations because we don't know who creating these systems and who coding them.
Right.
So these systems can be biased and they can be perpetuating the same cycles that they've been doing. It's just coded now.
Mm-hmm.
So for an example, if I wanted to get a loan, they can just put all the information the way they already ran it back in the day and it just still continue.
Right.
So we got to be like careful about that. But like you said, I think it's finna come to a point where like it ain't gonna be no opting out if you don't build a parallel system.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, when you log into a social media platform, you're consenting for control and domination. What we are now saying is that when you go on social media, you are saying that whoever controls the algorithm is your leader, right? They are the leader of that particular network, right? Which means that they're essentially the president. So presidents of CEOs, of course, are the new presidents, right? Because we live in an oligarchy, meaning that we live in an America that is controlled and dominated by corporations. The J.D. Vance is linked to the philosophy of Curtis Yarvin, right? J.D. Vance was funded by Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel is a Christian nationalist, right? He has a lot of dark ideas about where America should go, but they don't believe in the Constitution because the Constitution was written for a time that no longer exists, right? We live in a world now that is so complex, right, that the world essentially is conscious. Scientists said that when something becomes so complex, it becomes conscious. The world started to get, when the world got connected by the internet, right? And it became networks and grids, global systems of trades and things of that nature. Well, when one country goes down, it then affects the other country, right? The way one country lives affects the citizen in the neighboring country. When you get the internet and these algorithms started to control the culture stopped controlling the algorithm, right? So now the children are not becoming the culture of that city and that local place. The children are now becoming what the algorithm is rewarding based on that behavior. So how can the framework of the Constitution still be relevant in a day where the world is completely complex and we live in a globalist society? It's not. And they believe that every 4 years, right, or 8 years, depending on whether the world goes left or whether the world goes right, they believe that that's not a good enough system because even if you get things right for 4 to 8 years, you're going to have to fight the other party the next 4 to 8 years, right? And they're just going to be focused on how we shift it back.
Let me ask you a question, right? So I know we've been talking about the TikTok ban for like the last year, I should say. And you know, they was supposed to ban it a couple months ago. They extended it for 45 days. The other day they had a deal, but Trump came with the tariffs and China pulled out the deal. So Trump extended it for another 75 days.
Yeah.
But you just said some key. You was like, whoever controlled the algorithm is the leader. Why you think Trump them going so hard being patient with trying to come up with this deal for TikTok instead of just shutting it down, banning it?
They can't afford to. What do you mean? I mean, the goal is to control it. They don't just want to get rid of it.
Right.
But you got to understand that when you get rid of TikTok, what are you getting rid of? Jobs. That's what you're getting rid of, jobs. Amazon connected to those jobs, specifically jobs for children that don't have degrees. So let's look at it like this. Black American women went to college, right? And we've been talking about how Black American women went to college, but they haven't been building any wealth, according to the stats, right? That they have no assets, and they actually have less assets than Black men. Black men stopped going to college. From 1976 to 2010, there was an increase in Black male enrollment rates. During the Obama administration, Black men stopped going to college, and people started asking why. Well, the reality of it is number one, the high schools, when you grow up in high schools of low impoverished environments, the education is bad. So you're not really prepared for college in the first place, right? Then you stop believing in it because you didn't see the results, right? So the average Black male is going to college and getting debt of $28,000, now somewhere around $36,000, And then black women started going, now they carry more debt than anybody in the country with zero assets. So black men, when they first went to college, in those Roman rates, I mean, the income never rise. So we getting paid, black men were getting paid $44,000, right? Mm. And it shifted as we went to college to modern day is now lower. You know what I mean? So the median household income is somewhere around $8,200. So we was like, wait a minute, there was never an increase in wages, even though we got an increase in education. So if we don't see it, we don't believe it. If we don't believe it, we like, why should I go to college and be a part of a system when you can't show me proof that it works? So we was focusing on the numbers of going, but not the outcome of what we was doing. Primarily because we stopped believing that greed was necessary for success. So we start focusing on other type of systems, alternative methods. No, it didn't cut off. The screen go black sometimes. I don't know why. So we start focusing on alternative methods. Right. You know what I mean? Taking up trades, developing skills, stocks, crypto.
I think
these other
different
things.
Even now in modern times, I feel like, like it's back to TikTok. A kid can get on TikTok and become a millionaire overnight. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, man, I don't need no education. I learned how to becoming an expert editor just by being on my phone, messing around.
That's the thing. Like white and black Americans aren't number one when it comes in the tech field. You know what I mean? It's Asians and East Asians specifically.
Right.
So like black and white American children are not prepared for the future. You know what I'm saying? Like China just released that by September. What is it? September?
By September 2025, it's mandatory for all students from ages 6 on up to study AI. Yeah. It's mandatory.
Americans are cooked. They don't know AI, barely want to be interested in learning. And you're trying to tell somebody, and it's a buzzword to them. They don't understand that the AI skill sets, right, is what's going to allow them to have a future in the first place. Yeah. So when we talk about black women enrollment rates in college and degrees, we're not talking about what kind of degrees. We was never intentional on what the best strategy was. When black men was enrolling in college, nobody was telling them exactly what we should do. There was never a big enough cultural revolution tied to it to say, let's go get into engineer, let's get into technology, right? The richest black man in the world got an engineering degree. Right. You know what I mean? So he understood that, like, it goes that direction. So now that we are in 2025 and we in the future, we're behind, right? So we say, man, and this is why we didn't believe in the stock market, because, again, we didn't see it, so we didn't believe it. You feel me? Anything that we didn't see, they didn't put it in movies. Right, they stopped making black college movies. They stopped making black college shows.
What was your reason for going to college when we went back in 2008?
Man, just to get out the hood. To be honest,
you scared?
Nah, my mom wanted me to go. I wanted to get out the hood to see what it was out there. I definitely wanted to move out the house, even though poor people move out the house faster than wealthier families. You know what I mean? It puts an undue financial burden on poor families to go take up rent and everybody start living as individuals, which makes it harder to create success in a family. But when I went to college, man, I literally was just thinking about any opportunity that I could, because I didn't know what I was going to do with the world. It wasn't like social media as an opportunity, right? But I also didn't have any credible sources around me to show me and guide me and say, okay, if you go to college, this is what's waiting for you on the other side. Right. It was generic statistics about how the average person that goes to college makes $1 million more than a person who doesn't. Right. You feel me? But it was never say, go get this degree. This is where the future is going.
Yeah, I think that was key what you just said. Nobody prepped us for the college. So it's like one week we in the hood hustling, trying to survive in survival mode. The next week we on in college. With the same mindset. Nobody prepped us. And now it's even worse because I ain't got no adult or no parent waking me up telling me to go to class, even though I was the only one on honor roll. But that's the side note. But still though, like, you had to have that discipline as an adult. But if you didn't get prepped for that, of course you was gonna quit and drop out, you know?
And then there's this part. College failed black men. Black men didn't fail college, right? And the reason is because it's like when black men went to the army. They went to the army and they came out expecting to be received by the world, right? With opportunities and things of that nature. When black men went to college and came by the world, they weren't received, right? There wasn't more jobs, right? There wasn't more income opportunities. So they was like, wait a minute, I now have this debt. I have a degree that's worthless, right? And I have a society that's not treating me like I'm now equal, right? In this in the culture. Like again, from 2010, when was there ever celebration about black men going to college at higher rates? There was never no propaganda, no media promotion whatsoever. You know what I mean? But when black women started to go to college, everybody started praising it.
Yeah.
But there's a direct correlation with black men not going. So let's say if there's 25% less black men going, then of course, then there's more black women by default, right? But it wasn't saying that black women are more educated than all of America. It was saying that black women are now more educated than black men. That became propaganda to push black women in college the same way feminism pushed women to buy cigarettes, right? And go into the workforce so that they could become a tax-paying class, right? It more so pushed black women into debt without pushing them into the right fields that will be the most valuable in the future.
If you had the chance now with all of this with the new world that's being built in front of us, right? If you had the chance to go to college now, like that's in your age, you like 19 again, right? 19.
Oh yeah.
Would you go?
Only if I had I would have to have the understanding. At the time I didn't have the understanding of the world. Right? I understood that marketing was something that was naturally adapted for me. But I would have to literally know and have an idea on where the world is going. And when you're in the hood, man, you have less access to information and networks. So nobody came to our school and was like, y'all need to prepare for the future. Technology is about to run things, right? There's about to be new networks. There was plenty of black men who invested into these things, but there wasn't enough loud voices who was telling us this is the way forward. So you wasn't thinking about the future. You was just thinking about surviving when you went to college. Right? It wasn't really no 10, 20-year plan. We didn't understand that. We only understood going to college in the framework of this is how you make your family proud. This is how you get out of the hood. This is how you do something that nobody in your family has done before.
Yeah.
So college became a survival ambition rather than an aspiration vision.
It was more of a I'm doing this to please my parents.
Yeah.
Versus me actually wanting to go.
Right. And then when you come from low impoverished environments, right, your mother and pops ain't got no money, so they're not gonna help you with your student loan debt. You're coming out there guaranteed with some debt, right?
Yes.
Robert Smith laid it out. He said 50% of Black American wealth goes towards student loan debt. 50%, right? Most people walking around with debt. Number one, it was bad spending in college. You guys took out credit cards. And you got student loan debt that has interest on it that you couldn't pay back. So now we fast forward 10, 20 years, right? You out of college still paying on the student loan. and instead you could have been paying on a house. You could have been paying on some land. Right? Right. You could have opened up a business. Those loans could have been forgiven so that those families had the opportunity to be able to take that money and go build industry and businesses with it. Plus, you got to go to college and have a network.
How you feel about the way that they market taking up a trade school or just focusing on just your specific niche? Like nowadays, you can go buy a course for somebody and learn something specifically that you want to do without taking all those other classes. And learn the information you will never apply.
Well, that's the future. Because get it. Your goal now, like AI gives you a promotion in whatever business that you're doing. If yesterday you was a graphic designer, today you are a team manager of graphic design. You're the lead team manager telling them what to do, right? Because your technical skill set is not enough anymore. Mm-hmm. School made us very technical, right? So school is data training centers for human beings to learn specific skills so that they can then be employed into a workforce, so that they can be productive in society and somebody can pay them for what they know and what they can do over a set measured period of time. What is AI? They train AI in data centers for a specific task, right? This AI is good at making pictures. This AI is good at legal, right? But then you got to update them. Human beings can't afford the updates, right? Because you can't, to go back in college, you got to go back into more debt. Then there's time efficiency. You feel me? So we learn technical skills that the AI trained on all of humanity, So now you think that I want to go to you for law advice when I can ask the AI and it can spit out anything that I want to know instantly? So what do I need the lawyer to do? You may have experience and wisdom on what to look for, right? Because I may not know. You may be able to utilize it much faster because you have knowledge of the system and experience. If you're a graphic designer, you have the design language that I don't even know to communicate, right? So you may be able to talk about soft light and different proportions and the texture of the different styles, and you are much quicker to be adapted to utilizing this like a master than somebody who's just jumping in. So right now, you go to get a promotion and say that now be a leader. And most people are horrible at being leaders because you have to now be in charge of an intelligence, right? And people are not being human, so they look at this intelligence as smarter than them, right? So once you lose that human factor, it's like we're supposed to always have dominion over things, right? Sure, a horse can kill you if you get behind and kick it. You know what I'm saying? Sure, if you don't have knowledge of something, then it will rule you. But that's always been human history. The most superior people, right, or the rulers of the world, they learn the nature of a thing and then they dominate it, right? Slaves weren't dominated because they were inferior per se. It was because their nature was studied and controlled. They said, wait a minute, we know we got to strip your God from you, your language from you, right, your will from you, and then we have to control you. That's what a machine is. And human beings have been stripped of their autonomy. So now they're afraid of the fact that, man, you telling me that I have to think? Because that's all you're telling somebody to do when you say create your own job and use AI. Human beings are afraid of thinking because they was never rewarded for thinking. You go to a job, they don't want to hear your ideas. Just do what I told you to do. What were you trained on? Do what I trained you to do.
And that's the crazy part, because now, we went from the Jim Crow era. Now we in the Jim Code era, where you will be controlled by the algorithm if you don't know. So and I just, like you said, let's go back to the China. They training the kids all the way from 6 years old to learn about this AI. I was talking to my niece and I asked her about AI, and she was like, she thought it was fun. Like, what the hell is AI? I'm like, the school not teaching y'all that in public school? So, like, how important is it for us to come up with events for the kids, specifically black kids, when it comes to AI and tech and teaching them the new world, the way it's being run? Because they born into it.
I think children and adults need to be in the same exact class. Like the parents and the children need to be in the same class. I mean, because the exact thing, the children is going to learn different because they have less things to deprogram from, right? But if it's not in the house, you can't just point it off and say the kids need to learn it. The adults need to learn it. You know what I mean? Everybody, it's a whole new world to learn. It's like when the internet came on, a lot of people pawned it off to the nerds and maybe the kids, and you missed out on a whole wave, right? And now you still trying to catch up to the internet age. Think about how many people are slow on social right now.
Man.
Still trying to catch up. How you think it's going to be with AI? You know what I mean? It's going to be so slow. And the problem, though, with AI, though, is the system that thinks back. So what did they do? Alan Turing test. Alan Turing was a homosexual man, you know what I'm saying, back in the early 1900s. He is the founding father of AI, right? They neutered him during his time, and he ended up getting a postmortalist pardon and him getting a Nobel Peace Prize, I believe. But he founded the Turing test, which is the question, what happens when AI can think? Or what happens when AI can fool humans to think as human?
Now, hold on, pause right there. What happens when AI can fully think like a human?
Yeah.
And just think about that real quick, chat. What happens when AI can really think like a human? And when did he propose this question?
This is in 1950.
All right, well, we
75 years later.
75 years later, 2025, AI can now think like a human. So you can't tell the difference.
So not only that, these are experts that do the test. So an expert does the Turing test to figure out if they can tell if a non-human entity can fool humans to believe it is human. This is the first time in the existence of history that this has ever happened. Now, most people call this the singularity. AI is just getting better and better. Facebook just dropped a new model right today. So there's an increasing expanse of AI and automation, but the question becomes, what are we building the machines for? Right? Is it for humans or is it for control of humans?
Right.
Right? If you go back early in this country, you can look at the correlation between AI and slavery, right? Because it's the same thing. You create a system that completely listens to you and that you can control and would do any work for you, right? So what you need to first do is, whoever controls or whoever programs the slave is the one that controls them, right? They program your name, they program your religion, they program your worldview and how you think. So they need to indoctrinate you with their data, right? If they give you real data of the world, you're not going to see things the way they want you to. So I need to teach you Greek mythology. I need to teach you European history. I need to teach you about European leaders. I need us to be in the center of everything that you think. The programmers of AI, has it been melanated people? Does it represent the diversity of the world? No. They hate diversity because the idea is that they will be at the bottom as minorities. Yeah. So if we're representing diversity, then that means that automatically the hue goes browner and browner, right? If we were talking about great civilizations, why come the Moor civilization is never mentioned? It's because white supremacy only centers European ideology and discoveries at the center, right? But America, the first ally of America and the oldest treaty of America comes from a Muslim nation, Morocco, which is the longest lasting treaty. Without them, they wouldn't have been able to get to a global level, right? But we look at Islam and try to demonize it, even though an Islamic country was the first to recognize America, and America never started as a Christian country. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, that's the reality. People act like America at some point in time was a Christian country. It never was, right? Black people came in this country, man, they was practicing hoodoo. You know what I mean? What y'all know is voodoo and things of that nature. I mean, you go back to the history of St. Louis and you're going to see where, there was a black occultism that was being practiced, where black people would practice, it was by the writer David Brown. David Brown was a free black man who became a scholar, essentially. He wrote several books, and one of the books he detailed when he met Mr. Frank. Yeah, Mr. Frank. Yeah. He walked in. He walked into town with Mr. Frank, and he asked him. And Mr. Frank is sitting there in the shadows, like, man, okay, I see you came here to get your fortune told. And he like, damn, how the hell you know that? Well, obviously, you feel me? I got them powers. So he paid him 25 cents at the time. 25 cents is a lot of money back in those days. That's like $250 or something. That's a lot. You got to really believe in it. The reality of it is that they actually, whites and black, used to go to Frank. You know what I mean? Frank was very powerful. So he, of course, told him some things, and he said, man, a lot of those things became true. And the thing about Frank is most of that stuff was verified. Now, he told him a fortune about why you deserve to be free and how you were going to be free. And he was like, man, that was worth every penny that I paid for it. Of course, later on, Mr. David Brown ended up getting free. But he talked about in his book how he witnessed a lot of the African hoodoo, right? Or the African, what you know as voodoo or voodoo practices in America. And you realize how much that shaped black Christianity because they was forced to stop doing it. So they would go into like the woods and they would be doing spiritual dances and counterclockwise and they'd be singing, right? And they'll be focusing on like conjuring spirits. Sometimes they would do it so that they could put hexes on their slave master, right? They would talk about
it was secret symbolism.
Yeah, think about it.
Like what was this
when you go to black,
he said something about the price of freedom is
worth everything. Well,
the
price of freedom is worth everything. But just think about black Christianity today. You know what I mean? On and how much of voodoo or hoodoo is actually embedded into black Christianity, right? And the secret history that we just don't talk about in America at all, that the large majority of so-called enslaved people and free people all practice hoodoo. That was their religion, which they got from, Africa as well. So it's like today they were forced to become Christians, but when they became Christian, it was a remix of their African spirituality with Christianity. So they would evoke Christ and at the same time evoke their ancestors. This was a way of making sure that they was able to keep some of their heritage and their practices. And that's why black churches today are different than all white churches. It's not just a culture thing, it's a spiritual thing.
Right.
that they focused on spirituality. The first black soldiers that came over in America, warriors, man, they killed their slave masters because they were Congo warriors and they had their own belief system.
It was deep. You got me thinking about something in St. Louis now. Because I feel like now, like you said, a lot of people don't know where, you know what I'm saying, it originated from. And I was telling you earlier, like,
catching the Holy Ghost is the conjuring of spirits, spiritual deities that has now been utilized in church, but that comes from hoodoo practices.
Yeah, but I was saying, I agree with you, but we know that's a fact. But like I said, a lot of people don't know that this where it originated from because of the language barriers. And you know what I'm saying? There's time when people probably quit passing the tails on. But St. Louis still got that hoodoo energy in the earth when you go out there. You know what I'm saying? It's dark. I mean, you know, people don't know where it stems from, but that's right.
They what was interesting to me is like they'd carry these little bags, and these bags would be like they said it had lizard skin in there, snake skin, had lizard bone, snake skin, and frog legs. The reason that it had the snake skin, right, because it represented like renewal and rebirth, right? The reason it had the lizard because it represented adaptability and like invisibility, right? The chameleon. And then I believe they said the reason that it had the frog legs in there, I forget. But everything that they put in this bag had a meaning. They had put in crystals, they had put in sharp objects, right? And they would carry it around. And they would even put in gopher dust. You know what I mean? And the gopher dust was a representation of like death. But they would take these items out and they would smear it all over their body. You know what I mean? And there's one brother now known as the Gopher King. You know what I mean? He wanted to use it against the slave master because the slave master one time whipped him. So he put him all of the gopher stuff, you know what I mean? And then he utilized this. He was known as the King of Kings of Voodoo, right? And he utilized his magic against his slave master. And after that, from that day, legend goes that the slave master never whipped him again, never beat him, and he barely had to do work. So they said he essentially became his slave master's master.
Now,
hey, that voodoo was working.
so
that
now,
voodoo was working.
Like modern day times, they changed the bag now. They changed the accessories that's inside the bag.
Yeah.
now you got the young kids. They ride around with the switch, and now they ain't got no mask.
Hey, well, cause hip hop changed its enemy. Hip hop changed its enemy from government to self. You know what I'm saying? So once hip hop made black people the number one enemy, right? That's when hip hop became demonic. It became satanic.
Yeah.
It went from political messages against outside enemies, right, to demonic messages against the community. So there was no political messages against the police or against, you know, the entity of the government and capitalist systems and structures. It was talking about other people living in poverty with you and what you can do to destroy them and how you can live a certain life that'll get you quicker to death.
Man, the new hip hop music, bro, I ain't gonna lie, I can't even get with it because it's like you said, it's super demonic, super degrading.
Right.
That's the worst part, especially when it comes to the black women and the black representation of women. It's the worst, bro. I hate it.
It's destroyed.
You know?
Like hip hop, like if we look at most mainstream artists, they have zero political message at all. The enemy in hip hop is black people. That's the enemy I'm talking about in the messaging. You know what I mean? You go listen to a rapper, who they talking about as their enemy.
Yeah.
Somebody that look just like them.
All right, so let's get to some controversy real quick.
That is the controversy.
Now, there's some more controversy, right? So, you know, Ye just did a live with what's his name? The ant guy, whatever. So he did a live with him, and you know, a lot of people was mad at him for wearing the swastika chain and the, you know, the KKK, you know what I'm saying, a little fashion or whatnot. But I told you, like, when I watched it, I was like, shit, I'll say 90% of his points was valid. You know what I'm saying? They market destruction and black death all day. How come I can't wear your cane? You know what I'm saying? And I felt that. Like, it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? You can't fight the truth. You know what I'm saying? So I know you gave a breakdown, but let's touch back on it real quick.
Well, I think the most poignant part that he said that if y'all can essentially monetize and profit off our pain, then I can do the same to you. You know what I mean? Like if you take a totem of black pain and you can monetize it, then that means that everything is fair game, right? It was a report that just came out by Al Jazeera. You see this? The breakdown was on how positive words versus negative words, and how there was an increase in negative words versus an increase in positive words, right? Like the word black used to be very high and it's considered a positive. It decreased, and that was replaced, of course, with the N word, right? We used to talk about people, freedom, brothers, free, America, power, knowledge, revolution. We talked about police, justice, white, whoop, Africa, proud, devil, illegal, slave. And then it changed from nigga to bitch to shit to money
Can you say
to
all that
girl to hoes to baby to thug to weed to, you know what I mean, to all of these words. So the spell of hip hop just changed.
Yeah.
You feel me? Now, we know that the record labels directly said that hip hop was too aspirational. So they said Run DMC, man, they too aspirational. Like Conan said, it was too aspirational. Aspirational mean that it's connected to like a philosophical vision of like making people want to become more than where they are, to transcend the environment, right? Instead, they say, man, it's easier to just sell death rap. I can sell y'all drugs, prostitution, and kill each other all day, right? It's low hanging fruit. So it became exploitive and manipulative, right? And so it put hip hop into the dark ages, and it stopped becoming something that was a tool for cultural revolution, right? And something that became a tool for demonic monetization.
It got to a point where people participate knowing all this information only because the benefits, you get the fame and you get the money. But if you notice, like all these rappers that's rich and that's pushing these agendas, ain't none of them got no financial literacy skills.
Well,
none of them. So they know they gonna give you these millions of dollars. They know you're gonna blow it. They know you ain't finna build a parallel system to you know what I'm saying, get your people up out of it. They know you finna go to the club, finna go buy a bust down chain, take care of 1,000 people. You know what I'm saying? They know that you're gonna run through the money. Yeah. Just like the NBA players.
No, they make music now telling you to run through the money.
Yeah. And then they got the same way they do the NBA players. They gonna do the NBA players probably got more power than the rappers. Because they got a bigger following, more people know them, but they're going to give you an agent when you turn 18 that control all your money, all your assets and everything. So when you retire, you wonder why you went broke. And you weren't even paying attention to your account.
Right.
You never even tried to learn it.
There are no more revolutionaries in hip-hop at a large scale.
It's crazy.
Because while one person will make some good music, so-calledly, or political music, he's also going to collaborate with somebody who makes demonic music.
Like your boy Kendrick.
He's also going to profitize back and forth. Shout out to Kendrick. He's not willing to go and make it personal.
No, I'm making it personal.
I'm making it the whole entire industry. Because you like Future, but all Future music is demonic. So it's the most hypocritical thing for you to say. And you like it, and his music talk about lean, death, demonic energy, everything that's negative.
Now listen.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, you know, like when we had this
all
debate,
your favorite rappers are demons.
Listen, when we had this debate, right? I like that. I tell you the truth. I don't deny or denounce that I listen to Future. I definitely listen to Future. But I told you,
you don't just listen to your favorite rapper. Come on, don't say it like you just listen.
No, Kanye is my favorite artist, my favorite rap artist.
But you listen
to Future.
I listen to Future, so that's your favorite.
But listen, check this out. But I told you what it is. I ain't gonna sit here and act like these negative feelings don't exist, because you know what I'm saying, good and bad is the same thing, different in degree.
That's cap.
Now listen. Let me finish what I'm saying.
No, because what you saying don't justify nothing.
I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna tell you my reason why I listen to Future now. It could be a million rappers that's talking about the bad, the bull, the BS or whatnot. He just make better music than the rest of them. So I could tune all them out to just focus, listen to one. But I don't let this nigga music dictate the way I live my life and the actions I make. You know, I'm not gonna be out here sipping lean and doing all the stupid shit that Future saying doing because he said it in the song. You know?
But you know people who do that. You know people who die from lean. You know people who get killed off the same exact music.
I do.
And what you saying is that you justifying it because he's better at destructive music than everybody else.
No.
That don't make no sense.
No, what I tell you, you know what I'm telling you is, because off camera we be having this sad boy, so they probably don't
just
understand.
say it. I don't
so
understand.
Listen, well, the sad boy is he always like to say, man, he think it's the end of Future, and I was telling him like, no, I don't think it's gonna be the end of him because he's the best at making the toxic music. When you the best in your own lane,
why we say toxic, not demonic?
I mean, we saying demonic now because we having this.
No, but it's demonic. That's what you mean when you say toxic. It's demonic music. You know what I mean? You in love with demonic music. It is what it is, and you think that Future is the best at making demonic music. That's what you believe. That's what you just said. And you
He's
said
the best at making a demonic
the way you
music.
justify, but like, think about what state of low vibration you got to be to enjoy demonic music all day.
All right, but it ain't like that. I woke up and I was in some paradise. I grew up in demonic environment.
Okay, why wouldn't you want to transcend it? No, because that's the worst excuse.
Let me listen.
If I grew up in the hood, why wouldn't I want to transcend it?
I have transcended it. Like I said, I don't.
You still
I'm
the
not,
allure
I can
of
listen
it.
To it.
You still in love with the allure of it. You don't transcend
I just
it.
like the music. I like the beats.
When you transcend something, you get a new taste.
You
know what I'm saying? When you transcend something,
I listen to other music, but like I said,
evolve. It ain't evolved.
It was a point of my time where like I said, I grew up around there, so I get it. I understand the music.
Me too. So
I like it. You know what I'm saying? You listen to Future. You
not really, not only when you playing.
Cut it out, man.
But the reality is, it's called evolution for a reason. Growing up in that's like saying somebody that grew up in a sexual abuse environment, saying I came from it, so I like to hear about other people getting abused.
No, it's not. It's not the same. You said the reason I like it, and I told you the reason I like it is because I grew up on it.
If you
so now
okay, it don't matter. But
so you know, like you know how you will hear your song, right?
So you grew up in trauma, so you need to hear it more.
You know how you will hear your song, right? And you got
I get it. It's nostalgia.
And you got a memory tied to it or something. It's nostalgia. You're right.
But that only means that you haven't evolved past it. Otherwise, old stuff, you outgrow it. That's the whole point.
I feel like me personally, I definitely evolved past why I really did used to just listen to that shit all day.
Right.
But now, you know I don't be listening to that shit all day no more, bro. You know that.
Right, but you don't have the ability to denounce it because you actually honor that part of yourself.
I wouldn't even say honor. I'm just say specifically me personally. It's just entertainment at some point. That's just like you sitting up. That's like you sitting up watching Raising Kanan one night. You know
it's not true. It's not just entertainment. Music is so powerful that it entrains you.
No, it's entertainment.
It's not just you. Everybody gets affected by whether you want to or not.
Yeah.
The music gets into you. You know what I'm saying? That's like listening to somebody. If somebody was around you and they was doing a demonic ritual, reciting these words over and over about worship the devil, you wouldn't want to listen to it because it'd affect your spirit and your soul. Damn. You know what I mean? But you listen to the music that do the exact thing and then say it don't affect you. Maybe you just don't realize the effect because you haven't lived without it long enough.
Well, to go a little deeper, right? Because I think I had this talk with Bashir before. Because I think he asked me this before, and I was like, I personalized it because, like you know, I've been shot multiple times, different situations, 3 different times, right? And I told him I don't care how long I be with y'all, as long as we elevating the culture, I'm gonna always listen to some type of demonic music so I can know how these young cats thinking that sometimes. That's just how I operate because I know it's people out here that will literally try to assassinate you. So I want to know the lingo and what they talking about. I'm not gonna be the one that's out here promoting it and pushing it on the platform and all of that, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna be aware of what's going on because your depth of awareness is how you measure a man. So I always want to be aware of what's going on. And, you know, we do music, I rap. I just like hearing what's going on, what's popping at the time, you know?
I mean, at the end of the day, but that's not the same as what we was talking about before. You talking about you doing investigative research so you can stay connected to the streets by studying the lyrics of the young YNs. And you just tried to spin me. I gotta study the YNs to stay connected to the lingo.
Hey,
come on, man.
You better
can't
spin
me, man. I'm from this, man. Stop playing.
You better study the YN.
I know what's going on without having to listen to everybody.
Because of me.
Not at all.
You know,
not at all.
Big on
you know what I'm saying? Like Capulation. What's you, a Capricorn?
No.
You know what I'm saying? Well, there's a lot of cap going on.
No.
It must be in your star sign.
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying?
It must be in the Superman.
No, but the reality of it is that is part of. You know what I mean? Because you can't say nothing about a white man, nothing about a Jewish man, none of that. If your favorite rappers espouse destructive music and you enjoy it, you attracted to it, you listen to it, it has an allure. It don't say nothing about nobody but you. You know what I'm saying? Like what you actually attracted to and what you like says everything about who you are and where you at. You feel me? So the reason that it's so if we go and eat some McDonald's, all right, and you try it out, right, knowing that it's not good for you, right, and you say, well, I just like the taste, right? That's because you haven't learned to love yourself enough. That it hasn't become an action of enlightenment. It means that you don't care. You feel me? When you care, you make change. It's called evolution. Once you become aware of something, you utilize that knowledge so that you can do better. So once you become aware of something and you still do wrong, it actually makes you worse.
So I guess I'm gonna just be listening to Michael Jackson and Yolanda Adams for the remainder of the year.
What about every other rapper out there? You know what I'm saying?
No,
it ain't just Michael Jackson and Yolanda. That's the way people try to justify. I know, but that's how people do it, right? You try to act like there is no other rap out there, so I gotta listen to this.
I mean, you know, I ain't finna be listening to Kendrick all day.
Who said Kendrick? There's many other rappers.
I'm just saying, bro.
So you only listen to mainstream rappers?
For the most part,
there go the problem. There go the problem. You allow the industry to control what you listen to. Is what you're saying.
No, I don't. No.
You just said you only listen to mainstream rappers.
I don't listen
that
to
means that they control what you listen to.
I don't listen to new local rappers.
What you mean local? We live in a global world. If they on your phone, they global. They ain't local. If you can go on Apple Music and Spotify, you can listen to whatever you want to. I don't want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Hey, he over here acting like you don't listen to no demonic music. Is crazy.
I really don't be though. I ain't gonna lie. I really only because I don't be listening to damn near no music nowadays.
That's really cap.
I don't really be trusting it. I like the new Kevin Gates. He talking that God bodyism.
And he talking demonic music on the same album.
I didn't listen to all of it. I only listened to the God body song you sent me. You know what I'm saying? And the God bodyisms. If I hear something that's demonic, I swear to God, I'm not about to play it over and over.
Nah,
I'm not about to play it over and over. There's no way I'm gonna let you program me with your weakest thoughts in my strong mind. It will never happen.
I can't agree with you on that because I remember when Future album dropped. We was listening to it when it first dropped, giving our review, and then he said one line in the song. It was blatant. That he riding with the devil or something that he said, and we ain't listened to it after that. I ain't never listened to it after that. And that was crazy because you know I usually be rapping for Future though, but he threw me off with that.
See, I'm a Taurus. When something rubs me the wrong way, I don't let it rub me again. Pause.
Man, next subject, bro. You just threw it.
Oh, straight up.
We gonna talk about something else.
No, straight up though, but
look, I had something else for you.
Hold on, just to end out that subject matter, man. Listen, like I don't care what you like, because that's the whole point. I don't care if you like it. There's no justification for the demonic music that is infused that keep our culture low and down. Like black men are at the bottom of the status pool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we ain't got no power, ain't got no money, ain't got enough education. You feel me? So we can't afford what another community can afford. You know what I'm saying? Like let's say if the white community get a 20% decrease, we can't afford that. That's us in the negative. So what you would have to do is have a whole complete cultural revolution overall to where, you can't listen to it. Like if they ban that shit today, I'd be for it. If I got to sacrifice listening to all these niggas, I'm for it. I don't care what nobody say. Because it's hard as hell trying to get us on the right path. So what's the point of caring about black liberation and progress? Because what you talked about is black excellence. But none of that shit is excellent for us.
Now, in hindsight, right? This conversation is important. It's important.
Because otherwise, none of the other conversations matter.
This conversation is important. And I'm glad that you're saying that because it's our valid. Because we get to a point in the community where we'll be like, I understand, you know what I'm saying, why you feel like this. But they ain't doing nothing but just pacifying.
But don't change
nothing. They ain't changing nothing. So I get it. I don't get it till I said, I'm way more.
You can't talk nothing about
than a normal young nigga. Though.
You can't take nothing about no Jewish people if we intentionally make the music that is self-destructive. I don't want to hear nothing about no financial literacy, no economic literacy, no political nothing.
Yeah.
If at a cultural root level, it's destructive.
Say, I don't even want to hear the billionaire complain, a black billionaire complaining when you got all the resources.
It's the most hypocritical shit because, excuse my language, but it's the most hypocritical thing because black media is so destructive. Black media will sell you gambling and liquor and then try to put a positive message to the black community at the same time.
Yeah.
It's hypocritical because black media just sold its soul for some money, even though they have the most influence on the black culture. So when you don't see things changing, it's directly correlated to black media not giving them and them being sold out. I can't tell you why y'all not better with y'all money. And then cut to this commercial. Here we got Prize Pick. You feel me? Telling y'all to gamble. You know what I'm saying? Cut to the next commercial. Y'all need to drink some more of this liquor.
Cut to the next commercial.
Next commercial. Y'all need to smoke some more of this weed.
Cut to the next commercial. We doing the baddies audition.
Like, what we talking about? Like, I'm just saying, like, if you gonna do it, just be all the way a devil so we can just put you in that category. But I think the problem is that, like, again, that black excellence scam shit is that we justify somebody saying that you are black excellence because you got some money, even though there's plenty of rich devils.
Yeah, but I'm gonna quote. Damn, that's my good brother who just did the show with us, the therapist. Dang, he just did the man-to-man with us. The therapist. Dang,
Dr. Tosh.
Yeah, Dr. Tosh, right? I'm gonna quote something he said from the episode, and we can sum it up. Like I said, right? I grew up. You know what I'm saying? Listening to that, before I was even aware that I was getting a spell cast up on me. And, you know, as you get old and you get more conscious, it's still a process of entirely eliminating it from your life. It's a process in doing anything, and you can't skip no steps. You know what I'm saying? You can't skip no steps. At the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? I don't give
nobody. We ain't got no excuses. I'm not F all that. We ain't got no excuses.
Right now, so you feel like you can skip certain steps.
Yeah, it's called quantum.
In your evolution on your journey.
It's called quantum leaps. You can make a quantum leap. You know what I'm saying? When you make a quantum leap, that's the whole part of it. We need a whole coup of the culture. We need to just create a whole overall and shift. Because do you wait for somebody to try to make a progress? On the back haul, you got other communities coming in, taking control of the whole world, building whole technological machines. Just get the people that's in position right now. They need to be out of it. You know what I mean? Like it goes against rational intuitive thinking to think you can skip steps, but you can't. You can make quantum leaps. You know what I mean? You can make quantum changes. If somebody is, one of the most powerful things is environment, right? I was listening to him 500 talk about how when you are a high achiever in your environment,
right,
you can increase other people to be high achievers, right? I think he said something around 15%. But he said when you got somebody has low productivity, right, and has low achievement rates, they can actually decrease yours by like 25%. You know what I'm saying? And so it's this thing about proximity to where maybe one of the biggest quantum leaps is shifting environments. One of the biggest quantum leaps is how about you don't listen to it? You get a complete digital detox. You cut off their podcast, you cut off their music, all of it. The same way we've talking about boycotting white corporate media, you know what I'm saying? Or boycotting white corporate businesses. I think that there's black media podcasts we should boycott.
Boycott hip hop.
Yeah, I think that 90% of hip hop needs to be boycotted. You know what I mean? I think that you shouldn't buy a single album if these niggas is demonic, if they sissies, they suckers, they pushing an feminine agenda, they make the black man the number one enemy, and then want to get outside and ask why the police shooting at y'all. Man, you just talked about how you just knocked down 30 of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think it's fake, it's soft, it's weak, it's no courageousness. So when I see the white supremacists talking points on social media, they be having a point like, damn, I can't even say nothing. I feel like I can defend it just for the point of, but I'm acting like it ain't a cultural rooted revolution that we need to change. Yes, it was COINTEL. Yes, there's CIA. Yes, there's paid people that's against us that's doing all of these different things. But at the same time, there's individual power that just won't take any ownership over nothing. A nigga be millions up and think I still got to poison my community. Niggas to be millions up and saying I would never use $1 to fund a scholar, an intellectual, a positive movie, an outcome, of nothing. You'll be millions up. So what's your response to that when okay, if you coming out the hood, I see how you didn't ask for that condition, right? And you became a dark capitalist and you got yourself out that situation. But when niggas is 10 million in, 50 million in, 100 million in, and the only thing that drives you is greed. So I don't care who I hurt. I don't care who I destroy. I'm gonna find a way to justify it, and I'm gonna do business with other communities that go against my own. And then when somebody outside my community do something to us, I'm gonna act like all of a sudden it's black power.
Mm. I like that. I like that. This is a good.
I think it just needs to be a no tolerance policy.
I like this.
A no tolerance, straight up though, like
I
a no tolerance. How you make a cultural revolution? You can't do it by negotiation. You know what I'm saying? Like a cultural revolution requires a complete shift of power dynamics. Because when I'm doing something positive that's productive, right? Let's say we get InvestFest. We have a financial literacy meeting. But we can't take a sponsor from Prize Pick because we can't put you financial revolution and gambling at the same time.
Right.
But they'll get somebody who has no talent, who got no spine, who got no soul, and they go give them the biggest gambling check that they possibly can. And everything that you pushing on people because you entertaining, low-hanging fruit, you ain't pushing nothing of any intellect whatsoever, right? So you got the people trapped looking at you, distracted, talking about nothing, celebrity gossip, and then when you cut to break, this is how you win on your next Prize Pick, so we can gamble. I'm just saying, like,
nah, it was crazy.
Like if I'm held to the standard, everybody held to that standard. It ain't like I came from some goddamn peachy rosy environment and I got some kind of opportunity that nobody else got.
You did.
I didn't at all.
You grew up in a pink house.
I ain't grew up in a pink house.
Check it out.
One of the houses was pink. That was a nice house. Oh, you talking about on Cleveland? That house was pink. I didn't grow up in a pink house though.
Hey man, tonight
it's been a brick house, but we ain't done yet.
It's been a good episode.
We ain't done yet.
I don't do no capping. But anyway, it's been a great episode. I appreciate it.
I ain't done
It's
yet,
almost
man.
10 o'clock.
I don't care.
It's time to eat.
It's after dark. We still got more stuff to talk
It's
about.
time to eat, bro. I ain't gonna even lie to y'all, check. Y'all probably got another.
Hold
10
on,
minutes
because
out of me.
we got to talk about the Terrence Howard thing.
Ah, shit, damn. Yeah, y'all got a good 10 minutes out of me. But, oh, yeah, I don't know if they seen this, but anyway, Terrence Howard did an interview on I don't even know the platform, but it was a white guy.
He was on Valuetainment.
On Valuetainment. It was a white guy interviewing him. And he brings up, you know what I'm saying, some stuff about rapper Diddy or whatnot. And he was basically saying like how anybody who attended his parties left soulless, you know what I'm saying? Or you know what I'm saying, they had to do things that go against their soul. So when they become successful, they don't even cherish it the same because they done already sold their soul. They walk out of their spirits and whatnot.
Yeah.
But he basically, he kept going and he got a real graphic. It was talking about how Diddy wanted him, basically. And
You said Diddy tried to have sex with him.
yeah, I ain't want to get
Well, he said his. No, this is what he said.
Yeah.
He was on Valuetainment.
Hey.
And I don't know why they start talking about Diddy, but I guess he started talking about it was a MAGA platform, right? Patrick David White, he has a MAGA platform. He's a super Trumper supporter, and he believes in all the ideologies of Elon and Trump, like wholeheartedly, right?
Right.
And somehow they start talking about Diddy, right? And they talking about Diddy, and he's saying that Diddy asked him to do acting lessons. You know what I mean? And he went over there, and instead of doing acting lessons, he said Diddy was just staring at him, right? Then he said he asked him to do something else. He came over again. He said Diddy just staring at him the whole time, right? And then he said the third time, you know what I mean, or however many times it was after this, he said his assistant said that I think Diddy trying to have sex with you. Here's my thing. The reason I don't like when black celebrities do this is because I think it's cowardly. Because they hold all of the secrets of the industry, right? Who they think is gay, who they think is weird, who they think is a sellout, who they think is doing all these things. And the only time that they ever talk about it is when a white man takes somebody down. So, again, I've said this before, right? When we clean house, it's the only time it matters. But if you going over somebody's house consistently, and you believe they giving you gay vibes, but you keep going over and over, and the only time you stop going is when an outside party tells you, I think they trying to have sex with you, right? Maybe they're exposing you, on why you keep going over there and allowing this person to try to allure you to do something. Now, if you really was about what you say you about, then you wouldn't just expose the ones that's already exposed, right? You would talk about the ones we don't know about, right? You would give real secrets, and not just on black man, but the white man, because I never hear them say a white man name. Besides Terry Crews, I haven't seen nobody else talk about the white man. They talk about him in theme to be like, yo, I go over there and this white guy tried to do something and I was going to almost have to punch him. But I didn't hear you say no names. So now you mean that there's other young black men that might be impressionable that might get set up to do the same thing. You're not exposing them. It don't take no courage to expose somebody who's already exposed. So I don't believe when they do that. I think it's cowardly and I think it's fake. If you go expose something, then expose something we don't know.
I just feel like, man, with anybody, any celebrity that's coming out a year later saying something that happened years ago about Diddy and then do it when he was free, I don't want to hear it. I really don't want to hear it because at the end of the day,
because
hold on,
you would have said you take another picture with him, he didn't get locked up.
Oh God, and at the end of the day,
if that's the case,
he ain't convicted yet, right?
Right.
Which means he in jail, he can't even respond and defend himself. So you waited till the man get locked up before you come out with all your story. Not to mention they just dropped half of the cases. He might be getting out next week.
Imagine how many black celebrities got a story about white men who sexually groped them and they did nothing about it. How many? You know what I'm saying? I know it's countless. They don't say nothing about it, right? Because again, we only make each other the enemy because we know that that's something that the system tolerates. You feel me?
Yeah.
If you gonna be a truth speaker, be a real truth speaker. Don't do it only when they tell you it's comfortable and it's okay now, right? I don't trust it. I don't respect it. I don't like it. It's clout chasing for no reason. You go from talking about creating and inventing algorithms and science and you know what I'm saying? When the white boy scientists get on your helmet, you still bowing down for their respect. You feel me? Yeah. But now you going on platforms and talking about when Diddy tried to have sex with you, you a man. And all men should do this. But you ain't gonna expose none of the other men that's still doing it to this day because you won't say their names. That ain't being revolutionary.
And then you know, like even with him saying that, like, all right, let's say Diddy did like him or whatnot. And you saying this shit like it's a crime, like it's they committed a crime against him or something. You know what I'm saying? What's your point even bringing it up? You know, like
I think he was talking about how these guys, right, get their soul broken. You feel me? Because they go into the industry and they're so willing, right? And they want success so bad that they will do something that destroys their values and integrity. My whole thing is that when you go through this multiple times, you stay in the same industry, you say it happened to you over and over and over, and you're so afraid that you would never say nothing. And then one person, as you were leaving out, you seen somebody else coming going in, and you didn't warn them at all. They ain't gonna warn none of the next generation. Ain't gonna say nothing about none of these weirdos at all. That makes you complicit. You know what I'm saying? Like if you know that these people are doing it and you saying nothing at all, you complicit. Because every time you see somebody get signed with that person or do something with that person, you ain't gonna warn them like, bro, you know, bro be over there trying to get people booty, man. You better watch out. They ain't gonna say nothing.
I don't know, like you said, we do gotta bring shame back. Don't get it twisted.
And that's like when
you gotta bring shame back. Because you know, these people now, they'll get on there and they make a fool of themselves to become famous and popular. And get money and shit, you know what I'm saying? So we do gotta bring shame back, but you gotta do it the right way.
Ain't nobody defending nobody. See, when small minds don't have the ability to interpret the nuance of a conversation, we're talking about the idea that you said somebody defending Diddy. It ain't got nothing to do with that. First of all, it's everything to do with this sick behavior in the culture to where we start clout chasing and acting like we real men. Right? Only because the devil tears somebody down. You should have, if they were so evil, you should have took them down. Because it represents we not making no progress. If somebody else has to clean our house, we still dirty. You get what I'm saying? It only changed when we make it. If we say we don't like these execs that we think are evil, we don't like these people that we think are deviants, and black people decide to say, you know what? Let's get them out of there. Let's stop supporting them. Let's start boycotting them, and let's just eliminate them. That means that we have made progress, right? But if you are dirty, right, and you are unclean, and somebody come clean your house, all of when they leave, your house is back dirty again because that's your same habits. So we can't rely on anybody outside, and it's not progress when somebody outside cleans your house. It don't work like that. You feel me? So what I'm saying is that the real change only happens when we evolve and we make a shift in music and ownership and power and progress. You feel me? And revolution. That's when it's our time. Nothing else. And nobody should respect us until we do that. Because it's that time. You ain't got no more time to wait. You ain't got no more time to wait. It's over for all of that waiting.
So what we finna do, man? We finna boycott black demonic media, black demonic hip hop. We boycotting the shame.
Somebody
shame
say
back.
so. Terrence Howard didn't call y'all back. Actually, Terrence Howard did hit us back. You know what I'm saying? Terrence Howard would have did the interview. I told him no because they wanted to do it online, and I'd rather do it in person. You feel me? So yeah, it's nothing to do with that. Mr. 19 Keys got his connections all the way right.
Man,
you feel me? But I'm gonna speak truth regardless of situation and circumstance. You know what I'm talking about? Connected and highly respected and never neglected. You feel me?
I got everybody.
You know what I'm talking reckless. You know what I'm talking about? We golden like the necklace. You know what I'm talking about?
Matter of fact, we just let you get on the show by responding.
And again, it's I don't. And it was this. I don't have no issue with Terrence Howard as a man. Like I like what he talked about when it came to science and things of that nature. I just think it's highly hypocritical, right? Not even him, but when all celebrities do that. Like all of a sudden it's open season to make each other the enemy, but nobody outside the community is the problem. Like we literally in that space in hip hop, where the only enemy in hip hop now is each other. That's what makes it demonic. You feel me? We go on media, and the only enemy is each other. But when we talk about anybody outside of that, we ain't dropping no names, we ain't making no claims. When we talk about each other, it's all bang. You feel me? Like it's war. So I just don't respect it. That is what it is.
We ain't saying no names. It's all.
You hear the bang? I was gonna say bang bang. You know what I'm
chat, man. We appreciate y'all for tapping into this Man to Man episode. We will be in Boston on April the 12th for the Save Yourself tour. We got Jalen Brown in the building. We got Vint Mensa in the building. We got a few people.
Yo, this
But make sure y'all go to 19keys.com/tour, purchase your ticket, man, be in the building.
Yeah.
Jalen Brown gonna be giving out his happy devices to a few members in the audience. Y'all might want to be there, man. We dropping nothing but the game. We gonna have the Crown Society merch and all of that.
Yeah, if you're in Boston, you definitely don't want to miss this. It's gonna be very powerful. It's gonna be some futuristic discussions. Some philosophical ones. Again, he's talking about the Happy device, which is a new technology device that embeds frequency waves to induce different states. It's a powerful technology that Jalen Brown has been involved in. So we're going to have a nice metaphysical conversation in that area. We'll also be laying down the plans of what you should be doing in AI, right? That area, that conversation is very important. And then where's the movement of the future? We have entered the dark age. It is the end of democracy. At least that's what this current administration is fighting for. And most people don't know the plans of the elites. So how can you plan if you don't know the plans? You feel me? The goal is to give you strategies, to give you tangibles, because our goal is to build wealth, power, and industry. You know what I mean? And think about what is our systems of control and things that we can own in the future. We joke a lot. We talk a lot about a lot of real things here. But in the building, that's the experience. That's when you had a connectivity. That's when you can be around the right people and find your tribe. You feel me? My brother Vic Mensa is going to be there. We're going to be having a really dope conversation. Inshallah, we're going to have Tech with X there, who is an amazing wizard when it comes to artificial intelligence. We have some poets that's going to be on stage. And we have some Bostonians as well that's from Boston that's going to be having some conversations as well. There's going to be a lot of opportunities in the building. So you don't want to miss. Boston is going to be an elite event. So make sure you pull up, tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend. Everything we do is independent, but we still get it done. Peace to the family, peace to the guys. Go to 19keys.com. Matter of fact, here, I want y'all to just screenshot this right here. Say yourself tour. There you go. All you got to do is screenshot that right there. You feel me? And that will send you a direct link to the tour so you can get your ticket tonight because they are selling out very fast, especially when we started announcing who's going to be there. The chickens start going crazy. So you don't want to miss it, and you don't want to be like, "Goddamn, I didn't know about it." Peace to the family. Have a blessed one.